We're now moving on to our first match of our recent league on Grixis Thieves. We've found our opponent. And we're playing against Montolio. So, for those unaware, he's a very well-known shops player. So this is what we're going to put him on. And unfortunately, we're getting it pretty rough at the moment. We're going to keep this hand on the grounds of a scry and a force of will. So forced to deal with whatever his first lock piece is. And we've made an incorrect assessment. So while he's well known for shops, he's I guess quite a prolific vintage player. And so, unfortunately, he's on what looks to be a sneak attack deck. Just what we wanted to see. So we're going to assume this is going to be fairly similar to the Legacy build, which is just, so we're getting punished for pitching misstep instead of dig through time or treasure cruise there. So we definitely should have pitched, I think, probably, hard to say. I feel like maybe cruise would have been the correct card to pitch. Just because I think in this matchup we want specific interaction more. So we're just going to fire off with the Time Walk here. All we're really trying to do with that is just get another land drop. Unfortunately, it's not the greatest Time Walk that we're ever going to have. Great, and we have a Ruby. We probably should have played it out, although we're already threatening a Red Blast, so it's probably okay. Dak's bad for us. He's probably going to steal our Mox, which is going to cut us off a bit of mana here. So we're just going to float a blue. Okay, so our opponent's obviously thinking about something here. So I think he's about to go for it. He's tapping mana. So we know he's about to cast something, but he's decided to Dak instead. So obviously he's just looking for a little more interaction. Something to make him win any potential counter battle. And he finds a probe, so he knows that if he's got a sneak attack, he wins. Sneak attack probably being the safest one here, as it dodges Red Blast, it dodges Flusterstorm, meaning that our only possible interaction is probably Force of Will or something a little bit strange, like maybe a Blue Blast or a Spell Pierce even. So we're not going to concede just yet. Our opponent only has a creature until the end of turn. And so it's theoretically possible that maybe we can rip something off the top that will let us win the game. And so he's been quite conservative here in that he's only drawn 7 cards, which is probably quite a good thing. Alright, so we're going to fire off the Preordain here. So unfortunately this entire game we've just been well behind the entire time. We've missed every single land drop. We haven't really had anything we've been able to cast. our opponents managed to steal our mocks, hit most of their land drops, and land quite a few threats. And this will probably close out the game here. Yep, Emmerich will close it out. So unfortunately we don't really have anything in our sideboard here for this matchup. I guess we have Mindbreak Traps. So we'll happily cut an island, and I think we should have cut an Abrade instead of a Vamp Tutor there. Abrade has little to no value in this matchup. It only hits artifacts and deals 3 damage to creatures, so that was, I think, strictly wrong. Vamp Tutor, while fairly easy to misstep or counter otherwise, at least if it gets it off, then we can maybe draw a Jace or something. We can use it to find a Jace or similar. We're going to choose to play. And once again, we have an awful hand. We'll keep this one. The Academy is looking pretty awful, and we're going to have to bottom the library, as we're going to be 2 turns away from getting library active. And I've tended to find that with these very proactive decks, which is what their Sneak and Show deck essentially is. I haven't played against it before in Vintage, but I would imagine it's going to play a little bit like Oath, where they're going to try to stick threats, and you're going to have to counter them. Okay, and yeah, once you have to be trying to counter everything they do, library starts to get pretty bad. You never really have 7 cards in hand. So we're looking alright right now. We've got a Mana Drain plus Force of Will up. I think we'd love to hit a Lotus right now. I might be dreaming, but so we don't really want to burn a Mana Drain on this A-Call, but we kind of have to. I think if he gets that many cards ahead at this point, we'll end up losing whatever fight we have over him resolving one of his actual threats. Unfortunately, I'm wondering if maybe not forcing there may have been correct, although I still feel like we would have been a long way behind if the A-Call resolved. We're going to see the drawback of playing a copy of Academy here, which is that occasionally you'll have no artifacts. So we're playing a deck with all 5 Moxes, plus Top, plus Mana Crypt, plus Soul Ring. So we have a reasonable number of artifacts to turn Academy on. We've just been rather unfortunate in this match, and then we haven't hit it. Okay, and we have to Mindbreak Trap that defense grid. If we don't Mindbreak Trap the defense grid, we're in a really bad state. And unfortunately now we're hellbent. Our opponent's in quite a few cards, so I can only imagine that they're going to have something in hand by now. So we're in a lot of trouble. And there's that Abrade, that if it was a Vamp Tutor, we could have at least fired off I'm not sure what. At least something. So opponent's just going to look for the Emrakul here. When we see the second sneak attack activation, we'll just scoop. And unfortunately, that's